a case for combating the polycrisis with ideologically diverse, politically engaged communities via dialogue and mutual aid. Polycrisis being multiple crises, coexisting, compounding crises that the World Economic Forum, in their risk assessment of 2023, used this term to describe the state of the world, naming things such as cost of living, climate action failure, geopolitical issues, and more. This presentation will be mostly focusing on my experiential application of trying to build ideologically diverse, politically engaged community called Unity Collective. Next. So how have I trained and prepared to hold a space with complexity of trying to hold collaboration for people with diverse ideologies? Really, it just involved a lot of saying yes to opportunities that were here at Naropa. My time at Naropa has been very intentionally cultivating the skill of being a facilitator, of holding a sturdy container, of being eco-conscious and as so that looked like a lot of classes around cultivating those skills, a lot of trainings that might pop up in the newsletters, saying yes to those opportunities, and a lot of intentional engagement with a lot of different activist spaces. When I came here to Naropa, I came here with the intention, the statement, I want to be a revolutionary. And what that meant, looking at where are revolutionary spaces? What are they doing? What's happening in activist spaces? And assessing a lot of skills I learned from facilitation there, a lot of techniques and ways that they mobilized that I learned from. And most relevant to this capstone, there were two big takeaways that I noticed as well. One, a lack of engagement. I don't know if anyone here coordinates events. It can be really hard to get people just to show up, especially politically engaged events. So one of the first things I was curious about was how to create a politically engaged community that felt accessible and easy and people wanting to engage. Secondly, I noticed there isn't a lot of ideological diversity in a lot of activist spaces, which makes sense, right? You're trying to have a shared vision and a shared goal and collaborate towards a common purpose, and especially right now, ideological diversity is harmful. It's not just a debate and a conversation, it is experiencing with worldviews that cause real harm, and that's not to be discredited. Affinity spaces and folks reclaiming their power to be able to contribute to liberatory work is really important. And when we're looking for systems of governance and we're looking for a future that represents all of humankind, when we're looking for collective liberation for all, when we're advocating for diversity in spaces, that means all. That means people we don't agree with. That means people that cause harm. That means uncomfortable conflict. Next. So two key thinkers that have really helped me to cultivate and feel affirmed to try this risky work. Daryl Davis is really the core of it. He is a man, the black man who attends KKK rallies and put himself in harm's way to try to create common ground and to try to transmute those who have such harmful ideologies. And he went in trying to gain some understanding, this guiding question, how can you hate me when you don't even know me? So have this relational quality of let's get to know them and let's see what happens from there. And he's gotten over 200 clans members to rescind their robes just by willing to engage in this relation with folks that mean harm. And Adrienne Marie Brown are really core throughout this work. The theory of fractals especially is resonant to me in meeting ideologically diverse communities, as we have a system of governance that is meant to represent all of us, and the country is divided. And we want our systems of governance to collaborate across the aisle a little more, right? To be willing to compromise, to be willing to actually agree and get stuff done rather than so stuck in their stances. And how can we expect our larger systems of governance to do that when in our lower communities we aren't willing to engage in that compromise and engage in that complexity? When in our own personal lives we cut off friends and family and can't engage in that complexity? So it's curiosity on how fractals, how can we create smaller systems of collaboration to create larger systems of governance and systems that serve for collective liberation of all. Next. So this is kind of how we started out the group. As I'm sure many at Naropa have learned the importance of group agreements. I want to name the start of the group, it was a big part of my vision to try to have non-hierarchical models and systems. I really wanted it to be a co-created space, a co-envisioned space. And what I found is right starting this group, I didn't have the buy-in for people to want to step into leadership in that way. People didn't know what they were expecting. It took several months of people regularly coming and me just kind of taking the lead and creating some pushes for that collaboration to then birth. And only recently, now a year into this, have we started to really see some co-collaborative creating of our mission statements, creating of our culture and values. Also grounded in some political education, just to create some shared pool of knowledge for how and what we were talking about. Next. We'll see more of this in a video coming up. The second half of this presentation we'll be hearing from members of Unity Collective, decentering myself, centering more of the community. So we'll talk about some of the projects that we've enjoyed, but we can see here, I mentioned in the title that dialogue is important, and I want to refer to Pablo Freire's use and call for dialogue as a way for people to co-create meaning and consciousness and to engage in transformative communication. Next. And mutual aid, really looking at Dean Spade's book about mutual aid, and mutual aid is a concept that exists for a long time. In Dean Spade's book, he talks about Black Panthers, he talks about the harm reduction movement, and this looks like political action that addresses the needs immediate in a community, such as food distribution, such as clothing distribution, such as political education. And then we're also really focusing on building coalitions. Something I've noticed with all these activist spaces too, it's a lot of people trying to reinvent the wheel and not a lot of communication on what could be greater collaborative projects. So we all make an intention too of different members going to different groups and seeing how can we plug in, how can we support a larger movement, and how can we start to help facilitate coalition in the greater activist spaces. Next. And then community culture, again to refer to Adrienne Marie Brown and her concept of pleasure activism, that activism should be the most joyous thing we do, and that the relational quality of a group will most speak to its success and its ability to impact change. So we try to have fun, we try to be friends, we have art nights together, we go out to open mic nights together, we make seed bombs and engage in such a wide array of what activism looks like to truly build up our friendships and try to create meaning for ourselves rooted in joy. Next. So as I stated, we just recently have started co-creating a little bit more of the vision of Unity Collective. So this was created just a month ago. Our mission statement, I'll read it for y'all. Unity Collective is a politically engaged community that brings together people with varied perspectives to foster deep conversations, build practical skills, experiment, and support one another in both personal and collective transformation. We believe in the power of diversity, empathy, and mutual aid to spark meaningful change. We aim to leave a lasting, positive legacy, one grounded in processing the past, engaging with the present, and shaping a more just future. So moving on from this, we will have our video where we'll hear from some members of Unity Collective. The big takeaways I want people to hear from this conversation is it is an invitation to, one, explore acquaintance and perhaps friendships with folks you disagree with. Explore and try to engage with folks with differing ideology and see what that feels like and try to create that quality. And then secondarily, invite your friends into political action with you. So much of the most meaningful moments of Unity Collective has been when I've specifically gone to my friends, particularly with ideologically diverse perspectives, and be like, I want you in this room, I want you in this conversation, and I will make it meaningful for all of us. Please come. And that has been the most meaningful. So I invite you all to try it.
Unity Collective is a local to the Lakewood area. It is hosted at the Karma House, which is a local nonprofit and kava bar, and they provide us with a free space to have political discussions and engage in activism.
Hey, I'm Brendan. I'm part of Unity Collective, and I have been for about 6 months now.
I've been a member for a while, and it's definitely been a journey.
My name is Kyle Jenkins, and I'm making this video to talk about the Unity Collective, which I had the pleasure of joining and participating in.
My name is Robert Kane, and I am a personal friend of Madison.
Hi, my name is Sydney, and I am Madison's boss. Yes, the quotation marks are important because I hate that word. It's rooted in the capitalist systems I would very much like to see crumble. Really, I just have the incredible opportunity to work with Madison and learn with her as we both figure out how to build and nurture community in a better way.
Unity Collective is a political group that focuses on fostering an ideologically diverse community of people of multiple different backgrounds and perspectives to come together and have civil conversation in order to better the world and improve the planet.
As someone new to political action and discourse, as well as someone who's shy and introverted, the Unity Collective has been a great place and a safe environment for me to learn and engage and participate in the community.
For the past few years, I've been looking at different community groups, charitable groups, affinity groups, to find friends, that type of thing. And each group satisfy different, needs and wants, building community, discussing political issues and mutual aid. But at Unity Collective, I found all of the things I was looking for: friendship, community, a place to talk about things.
Someone who's always been very engaged politically, just always loved keeping up with that sort of thing, but was a little reluctant to go because I was aware that my beliefs, my political beliefs, are somewhat more conservative than a lot of my peers.
One thing that's particularly unique about Unity Collective compared to a lot of other kinds of groups and organizations is that we encourage people from all across the political spectrum and people from different backgrounds to come together. This is something that is very much lacking in our current society. And so bridging those gaps and being able to meet people where they're at is very, very important. It helps encourage people to look past their differences and instead look at the things that we have in common.
Sadly, in today's age, we don't see a lot of that. We don't see a lot of people on opposite sides of the spectrum being able to voice their opinions and voice their political views without the other side tearing them down. And in my personal opinion, what Madison is doing with this group is not only needed, I'm personally grateful for it.
We've had several discussions with varied values in several different ways. Sometimes it was just inviting someone to the group that didn't really have the same values as the main demographic, and other times it was an intentional thing to where we invited discussion on a more personal basis as to personal experiences, and that's something that I really valued.
I was very, very pleased by the experience of joining and participating. It was an open discussion. There was no hostility.
Most importantly, in an environment where I felt safe to say how I really feel about things and discuss them with other people and not feel judged or feel like I had to fulfill some kind of checklist to be part of the founding part of the political group.
I can't praise Madison's facilitation enough. Watching her form and lead Unity Collective is actually the reason I pushed to bring her onto our events team. The way she holds space, encourages connection, and leads with so much heart has been powerful to witness.
The way the group facilitated conversation, there was never a point where it felt like, any individual or any individual idea that anyone had said was being attacked or picked on or anything like that. It was really much more of an open discussion.
I especially like the kind of decentralized organization of the group that allows for leadership, but still allows for feedback from the community, so that each person has a voice, that when we do follow leadership, we feel that everybody's been heard and that the best leadership is in place.
There have been some projects that I've been proud to be a part of.
I also remember us doing like a talk between Zionist and anti-Zionist people about the subject of Palestine, which was interesting, to say the least. I feel like me and everybody else learned a lot. Also, we did like a voter awareness thing where Madison invited a former debate coach.
We recently did a project where we had a local potluck that fed members of the community, and we distributed a zine that had information and resources such as like free food, areas to park a car, things of that kind of nature.
That I thought was really helpful and really spoke to my values personally, because honestly the best activism is whatever positive action we can do in the community, because not all activism is fighting.
Being a part of Unity Collective has been grounding and truly special. It's given me the chance to collaborate with like-minded people, to be active in community, and to move out of fear and into action.
And more than anything, I really loved how, despite the differences of opinions, despite the differences of ideas, the central theme that shone throughout the entire time I was there with Unity Collective, and it was especially reiterated at the end, was that we all have more in common than we have as differences. And that's the important part that we as a society sometimes forget, and we find ourselves at odds with each other when we shouldn't be.
And I really enjoy getting to know the regular attendees. I'll definitely be going for as long as I can.
So I plan to continue going to Unity Collective because it continues to be a safe place where I can express my feelings and contribute to the community in a positive way.
The Unity Collective is a phenomenal group, and it's an amazing idea. And frankly, we need more of it.
None of them were scripted. I just asked them, send me a 30-second to 1 minute video about Unity Collective, and it coalesced into that. So like feeling the shared vision is beautiful. If you want to make more of it, hit me up. You want to come to Denver, Thursdays at 7, Karma House, hit me up. Thanks, y'all.